Whether or not you're into baseball, you've got to hear about Gaylord Perry. He's quite the legend, not just because he made it into the Hall of Fame, but because of how he got there. Sneakily, I might add. Never heard of it. All right, let me paint the picture for you from the beginning. Gaylord Jackson Perry was born on September 15, 1938, in Williamston, North Carolina. Growing up in Martin County, he was into every sport imaginable, but baseball was where he really shined. As a right-handed pitcher known for his blazing fastballs, Perry dominated the scene at Williamston High School in the late 1950s. Scouts from all over made the trek to this small town just to catch a glimpse of this talented young pitcher in action. Perry grew up on a farm in North Carolina with his parents, Evan and Ruby. They were tenant farmers, hustling with crops like tobacco, corn, and peanuts. Fun fact, he had an older brother, James, who also made a name for himself in Major League Baseball as a pitcher. And let's not forget Carolyn, his younger sister, completing their family dynamic. Now, their dad, Evan, was quite the athlete himself. He played baseball and football, and get this, he even had a shot at a minor league contract but had to pass because his family needed him on the farm. Speaking of which, the Perrys had their own little slice of land, 25 acres to be exact, where they worked tirelessly, growing crops for profit and keeping livestock and veggies to feed themselves. He and Jim, from the age of 7, were out in those fields, plowing away with a mule. Their earliest memories? Working on the farm and dreaming of being cowboys. Classic childhood dreams, right? Luckily, their dad shared their love for baseball. He made sure they had enough free time to play, even joining them during lunch breaks for a game. Later on, all three, dad included, suited up for a local semi-pro team. Quite the family affair. So naturally, Perry rocked Williamston High School, excelling in football, basketball, and, of course, baseball. On the football field, he was a standout, earning all-state honors as both an offensive and defensive end during his sophomore and junior years. But you know what? He decided to hang up his cleats early to protect his budding baseball career from any potential injuries. Now on the basketball court, things got even more exciting. Standing tall at 6'3" alongside his brother Jim, they made quite the duo. In Gaylord's freshman year, they even reached the state finals together. After that, Jim moved on to Campbell Junior College, leaving Gaylord to dominate on his own. Over 4 years, he averaged nearly 30 points and 20 rebounds per game, leading his team to an impressive 94-8 record. Believe it or not, he had scholarship offers pouring in from colleges all over, but he turned them down because baseball was his true passion. But the real intrigue in Gaylord Perry's story doesn't kick in until later, when he's already become a national star. When discussing Perry, it's important to remember his stance for most of his career. Constant denial of any wrongdoing. It wasn't until 1974, in a surprising turn, that he admitted in a book that, yes, maybe he had done a few things that weren't entirely by the book. He claimed it was all in the past, though. But even with this admission, accusations against him didn't let up. Perry, however, stuck to his guns, maintaining his innocence throughout his career and beyond. In fact, he's even hinted that the book itself might have been part of a larger ruse. Maybe he never bent the rules at all. Trippy. Am I right? Now let's talk about the accusations. Sure, plenty of pitchers in Perry's day were accused of doctoring baseballs, but none garnered as much attention as Perry did. The sheer volume and intensity of the accusations set him apart, matched only by his undeniable skills on the mound. So Perry's early years in the majors were pretty short-lived. He only logged 119 innings, mostly as a reliever, and ended up with a lackluster 4.7 record and a dismal ERA of 4.46. And his third season in 1964 didn't start off any better. By May 30th, his ERA had ballooned to 4.76, spelling another potentially disappointing year and maybe even a ticket back to the minors. But Perry wasn't about to go down without a fight. You see, the very next day, everything changed. He decided to try something bold, his first spitter. And guess what? He threw 10 shutout innings against the Mets. As Perry himself put it later, on May 31st, 1964, I became an outlaw in the strictest sense of the word, a man who lives outside the law, in this case, the law of baseball. That quote's from his book, Me and the Spitter, where he came clean about his rule-breaking ways. Now, Perry's career resurgence isn't exactly a mystery. In his autobiography, he not only admitted to using the spitter, but even boasted about it. He knew it was against the rules, but figured it was worth the risk. Instead of relying solely on his natural talent, he took a shortcut. Plain and simple, he cheated. The spitter became Perry's signature move, no doubt. It's widely acknowledged that much of his success hinged on his mastery of a pitch banned since 1920 for being too tricky to hit. So why does this matter now? Well, Aside from the ethical questions, Perry's achievements can be questioned in terms of their authenticity. While he may have excelled, the shadow of his methods casts a long and controversial legacy in baseball history. You know, when it comes to baseball's Hall of Fame and the debates over performance-enhancing methods, some voters draw a firm line. They argue that using steroids is in a league of its own compared to, say, corking a bat. And you know what? There's some truth to that reasoning. But then there's Gaylord Perry and his infamous spitter. It's a whole different ballgame. Perry's spitter wasn't just a little gamesmanship on the mound. Nope. He knowingly used an illegal pitch that gave him a serious edge. Some might even equate it to taking a performance-enhancing supplement. After all, whether it's steroids or a spitball, bending the rules is bending the rules. Perry's choice to load up the ball with Vaseline or whatever he could get away with wasn't exactly playing fair. Now, you might wonder why, despite all this controversy, Perry made it into the Hall of Fame. Well, from what I gather, he had this folksy charm that voters seem to like. Plus, let's face it, he wasn't juicing up in some weight room. He was out there on the mound doing his thing, albeit with a trick up his sleeve. And hey, if Bugs Bunny could pull off the spitball trick in cartoons, maybe Perry figured it was fair game in real-life baseball too. But charm aside, Perry was still a cheater. Just ask any batter who faced him and got frustrated by that magic pitch of his. Surprisingly, though, many in the press and the Baseball Writers Association of America didn't seem to view it as harshly back then. Even after his admissions, and even after initial resistance to his Hall of Fame bid alongside others like Ferguson Jenkins, opinions softened. Funny how these debates shift over time, huh? The history of baseball is packed with these wild, one-of-a-kind stories. If you want to keep up with more of these tales, hit that subscribe button. And while you're at it, give this video a thumbs up. In 1983, Perry finally decided to hang up his baseball cleats. By then, he had racked up 314 wins, ranking him 11th on the all-time list, and his 3,534 strikeouts put him third in history. But getting into the Hall of Fame wasn't easy for him. It took 3 tries, mainly because of all the controversy surrounding his pitching tricks. Not much of a surprise if you ask me. After retiring, Perry's life took some unexpected turns. Things weren't all cakes and sunshine for him even after he left the spotlight. His 400-acre farm flopped in 1986, pushing him into a job with Fiesta Foods, where he became a regional rep dealing in chips and tacos. Then he signed on to build a baseball program at Limestone College in South Carolina, which seemed like a new start. But tragedy struck in 1987 when his wife Blanche died in a car accident at just 46. A few years later, Perry remarried Carol Caggiano, who was involved with Limestone College. Despite his setbacks, he stayed close to his 4 grown kids. In the years that followed, Gaylord Perry found a niche just being himself, traveling, signing autographs, and showing up at ball games. He was doing well for himself, and his major league pension kicked in at age 65, adding to his comfort. Wherever he went, whether it was a minor league game or a baseball card convention, Perry always got the same questions. What was your secret? Where did you hide it? How often did you use it? And every time he'd flash that familiar grin and coyly deny everything. He sure knew how to keep us guessing. Sadly, news broke 2 years ago that he passed away at age 84 in his home in Gaffney, South Carolina. The Cy Young Award winner and Hall of Famer, known for his legendary spitball, died of natural causes according to Cherokee County Coroner Dennis Fowler.